And we are recording.
Woo!
Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob Snow, lead designer of Legends of Albadyn, the free-to-play game which is rapidly approaching its 5-year anniversary. I'm joined today by Commissar Veno, the head of our development team's morale department, as well as one of my best friends. They've been with me through some pretty tough times, and I'm super happy to have him here to talk about Albadyn, talk about the community, and talk about where we're going in the future. So, any inspirational words, Vino?
Blood for the blood god, porn for the porn god. Don't give up on yourself, kids.
That's right.
Always strive to be the serial killer you wish you could be.
We were doing so well too. All right. So, firstly, right out the gate, I will be issuing a courtesy content warning. If you're not comfortable with mature topics, this may not be the Dragon Rage cast for you. But if you're perfectly fine with it, you are more than welcome to stay. So for this episode of the Dragon Rage cast, me and Vina are going to be talking about some of like Albadyn's origins, why we do what we do, and then we're gonna see where the conversation takes us from there. So, for those of you who do not know, Legends of Albadyn is a free-to-play fantasy dungeon crawler that I designed from the ground up. Started designing it in 2015. It went full release in August of 2016. And I've designed it with one goal in mind, which is to create a welcoming environment for anybody who needs to get out of whatever headspace they're in, be it being worried about politics, being worried about finances, whatever it is. My intention has always been to create a place where no matter who you are, no matter how much money you have a way there. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of money for those games that I always wanted. I always wanted to break into D&D and Mage Knight and all that stuff. And I never wanted anything I made to make others feel how I felt back then. So, Albadyn is free to play, always has been, and knocking on wood, always will be.
Well, I mean, shit. It covers it right there.
Well, pretty much. But like,
One thing you can always say about this game, though, is always been chill.
that's true. And I work hard to make sure it stays that way. Because I mean, it gets crazy sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, as Vino can readily attest, uh, under the right circumstances with the right people at the table, pretty much anything goes. It can go as far or as close to home as the players want.
Yeah. But hell, something like Coda's Bar proves that right there. That was a hell of a little episode there.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about
I
that one?
Oh man. So I want you to imagine you're in this old, classy looking tavern, you know? It looks nice. It looks proper. It looks upper class. And then you see a golem running around in a knee-length Hawaiian shirt and a straw hat that is like wide as a ridiculous cartoon sombrero. That tells you just what kind of stuff we were getting into.
Yeah.
The night goes on. Our hardiest member is instantly drunk off the first shot because he should never be trusted with anything. And then the pink potion of doom comes out. And suddenly people are gaining new, weird additions to themselves. Like whole new bodies. Don't worry, we will be touching up on where that one will come in soon. Because for those of you who don't know, I am writing 2 new segments for the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Both will be optionable.
Yep.
One will be covering cultist stuff. So far, I've got 3 different cults written down for that. The other one is we'll get into that later. But back to our topic at hand. We've got one guy gambling, and this poor bastard gets knocked out like 3 different times by alcohol.
Don't forget when he got thrown into the fireplace unintentionally.
Yeah, and then he got thrown into the fireplace. All right, it keeps going downhill from there because he just keeps having a really bad night. Our other guy keeps losing money at the betting table because gambling just does not seem to be his forte tonight. And we've got a third member who's trying to do his damnedest to change every little part on his body using this pink potion.
Yeah, don't forget the guy who hit on the waitress and then his dog abandoned him and went with her.
Oh, yeah. How many dogs has he lost now? 4, 5?
He's lost 4. He's on Sake the 5th.
Good lord.
But see, the thing is with Albadyn, everything that we just described to you, 98% of it was determined by a D6 roll. Whereas other games, which are exceptional in quality, have relatively complicated stats that you have to learn. So, if, like, for instance, the drinking thing, that would be constant constitution checks. We legitimately just rolled a D6 and see how it hit him.
Yeah.
With Albadyn, the goal has been that no matter who you are, no matter if you're good at this type of game or not, you can still find a way to enjoy yourself. And that's been really important to me.
And on the other hand, it really is just... I mean, look at something like D&D. You gotta have, like, 20 different fucking dice. When you're doing your roll checks, you gotta do them, like, every fucking turn. Individually. You know, it's just...
It gets
holy
exhausting.
crap.
It does, and that's one of the things that makes D&D take so long, which is why speed of play was something I never compromised on. Like, several ideas that were really cool that we had, like, in 2nd edition, they never made it off the table because they just made the game take too damn long.
Yeah.
But, like... Because, like, I still remember... any D&D aficionados will understand this one. When I first tried to get into D&D, I had a player's handbook and a dream. But the problem was the player's handbook was 3.5. It was 3.5 edition.
That one doesn't exist. We don't talk about that one.
Well, I spent 2.5 hours trying to level up my spellcaster. Almost had a nervous breakdown. And then I went, just no. So that was where... I still remember that to this day, which is why Albadyn has the intuitive systems that it does. Because, I mean, we don't have time anymore. We just don't. Nobody's got time like that anymore. I mean, D&D is fun, but the last D&D campaign I did was early 2020. And even with it being 2020, the whole world on lockdown and everything... we still barely had time to wrap everything up, and it still took us 2 entire months because of, like, people having to drop sessions and stuff to finish a campaign.
Yeah.
And that's 2020. 2020 was optimal conditions for D&D. Nobody could go anywhere. Important appointments weren't coming up. And the people involved in that session, they were out of work because of 2020 being 2020. And so, like, that just kind of drove it home how important it was that Albadyn had that speed of play. And the free-to-play aspect and the fact that there aren't specific... well, you gotta have the, your special miniatures and your freaking specific dice and everything. Legitimately, back in 2nd edition, I was at the dentist office. And... a kid comes in. He's like 10, 11. And he had literally taken a baseball bat to the face in a batting practice because the guy hit the ball and let go of the bat and it flew straight backward into his teeth.
Oh.
Legitimately, while we were in the waiting room together, I taught the kid to play Albadyn. We played 2 rounds, and this is all within a half hour of him entering the door before he got to his appointment.
Yeah.
And the thing is that Albadyn did what it was designed to do. It gave him a way out. Because when he first came in, he was a wreck. And understandably.
Yeah.
But there's just this guy sitting at the table playing with action figures. And I went, want to join me? And so I was able to teach him how to play within 5 minutes. And it gave him that refuge that he needed.
Which, I mean, as it is with any tabletop, time is always your enemy.
Oh, yeah.
Albadyn has gotten very close to dealing with that enemy fairly well. A lot better than a lot of different tabletop games can.
we're light years ahead of both D&D and Warhammer in that regard.
Oh god, yeah. Fucking, especially with kind of games I play, because I used almost all infantry.
Oh,
so
God.
it's like one shooting phase could take me like fucking half an hour.
Yeah, because
I had more guns than orcs, which should tell you something.
Yeah. But like, and so, like, the speed of play and the ease of access, I've played Albadyn with everybody from ADHD-driven 6-year-olds. And they were engaged for like 45 minutes, even with ADHD. To, I think, like 65-year-old school teachers. And everybody walked away happy. Because it gave them that refuge from the storm. Because it's the strangest thing. Most of the people that I wind up showing Albadyn to are in a dark time in their lives. Even when I was creating Albadyn, I was in a dark time in my life. I was in coding class in college. Coding class is the only class I ever failed. And while my life was burning down around my ears, I decided to just go for it. Full send. Even if I'm in control of nothing else, I'm going to make this so I have somewhere to go. And I mean, it hasn't failed me yet. And I'm thankful for that. You know, it's a gift and a blessing to be able to make something that can help people. Because not enough people worry about that these days. You still there, Veno?
I'm still here.
Oh yeah, I was worried that your connection had broken.
Nah, you're all good. Keep on talking, man.
Loud cat. Time for an introduction, people in internet land. This is the kitty. Oh goodness. Hello, little bit. You'll see this in the footage once I upload the video, Veno.
Ooh. I was like,
stinky
cat.
kitty. Whew. But
She brought that cat straight for you.
Yep. What a nice gift. But,
yeah.
But I forget when I made that post, but it really sums up everything that we've been talking about so far in the video. I think it was right after right after George Floyd died. I made a post that summed up my stand on everything. I don't really care who you are. As long as you are not actively trying to hurt people, you're welcome at my table. Like, you know, bring all the cold, hungry, weary masses, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there are so many games out there where the community gets weirdly exclusivist. Like, only this type of people can play it. I'd never want that to happen to Albadyn. You know, there is no reason for you not to be welcome at my table as long as you're not actively hurting people. If you are actively hurting people, get your life together.
And the crudest way to put it, just don't be a dick.
Mm-hmm. Which, as a price for admission, that's not bad. That's not a bad price for admission. Because everything is free. I mean, I am dedicated to that, because I tried monetization as a strategy at one point. But, like, other than our novels, which, because that's so much work to get those done, and dispersal costs and everything like that, other than our novels and our merch store, everything about the game is free.
Yeah.
All of the rules, all of the character creation, all of the things to fight, all of the mods that we come up with, all of it is free. Because preserving that accessibility means more to me than just about anything.
We're not here to become millionaires. We're here to have fun.
Exactly, and we're here to provide a shelter from the cold, because there aren't enough of those these days.
God, no.
There just aren't. And that's the great thing, is, like, I've had more fun with Albadyn, honestly, than I've had with 90% of the video games I've played in my life. And that's because of the sense of community that the players share together. And that's my objective. That's ultimately our goal, is to make a community where no one feels left out.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, in this very smooth transition, how are we implementing that as we move forward?
Ooh, good question.
Well, firstly, with our novels and with our merch, and with the races and the narrative that is added into the game, we are making sure to be inclusive. We don't want people to look at the game and go, well, yeah, I would play it, but there's no one like me. How you create your character is entirely up to you.
Oh, yeah.
There are not racial locks on Albadyn. The cultures and systems present are optimized for freedom of creation. It's not like the ridiculous tiefling debate in D&D, where's it's only red or purple. No.
Yeah.
We're not doing that here. So I mean, even if in the appearance section of the race selection that you make on Albadyn, it says they all look this way, if you want your character to look different, that is on you. I'm not going to stop you, and if somebody else stops you, you heard it here first, they can't do that. We're not going to...
It goes back to that whole don't be a dick thing.
Exactly. We don't want gatekeeping here. We don't want anything like that. We want people to feel safe here. And
Unless you're in Coda's bar, then never feel safe. That guy scares me.
yeah, but then you're more
There's
likely
always
to be
the alcohol.
Then you're more likely to be a victim to your own poor decision making than anything else.
Yeah.
But I'm wanting to make sure that we've got more than just me doing things, though, which is why as the development team continues to grow, we've got people like my homie Veno, working on writing stories for this universe of mine. We also have collaborations with other authors, and while those products are not ready for release yet, I assure you, when they are, you will be the first to know, my guys. And gals and non-bi pals. We've got a lot of cool stuff in the future, and while I can't talk about some of it, we can talk about what Veno's got in mind, because I'm excited to find out more about it myself.
Ooh. Well, I've got two things I can give you right now because everything is still being worked on. But for now, as far as the cults go, we have one cult actually ready as a premiere set
Cool.
up because me and Golden have both been working on it.
Neat.
It is the cult of the Davenites.
Okay.
Now, as we all know, there's some scary monsters out there. You know, some are
Mm-hmm.
nice, some are not so nice. Cult of the Davenites' entire goal is to destroy those monsters, whether they be good or bad.
I
And
imagine.
unfortunately, some normal species out there to them fall under the purview of monsters. So it started as a small church out in the far west of the continent, has slowly grown into a continent-wide plague of violence. Where
Now,
in some towns, where in some towns they're viewed as saviors for destroying hydras or some of the worst monsters in the area. In other areas, they're viewed as the monsters themselves for their total extermination campaigns.
yeah. Which I mean that really does, yeah. That fits Albadyn quite well because with several of the antagonistic factions, their morality has been questionable. It's not a black and white thing. It's a shade of gray. That was the entire thing with the Shadow Legion was their objective was very relatable. You know, it made sense. But in the same token, the manner in which it was executed was very bad, and so with the Davenites, it's a similar situation from what I've heard.
What makes the Davenites worse is where they go. Monster Problem doesn't seem bad, but they'll tell you there's nests appearing, there's nests appearing. And the more Davenites appear, the more these monster attacks seem to become more frequent. Until finally these monsters will attack the town the Davenites have set up in, and bravely they will fend them off, and suddenly they'll have another town in their gratitude.
Snaky motherfuckers.
Uh-huh.
And once these guys release into the wild, fret not, true believers. You will be able to stop them from any wickedness they get into, or perhaps, if you're so inclined, join them in their efforts. That's entirely up to you, again, as the coin of player choice.
Now, as far as the weddings and debauchery expansion,
we're excited for this one.
oh yeah, we have the Church of the Broken-Hearted God. Now, it is known that inevitably somebody's going to be banging. Let's face it,
It's
it's a fact of
invariable.
life.
I think your mic might have
But
busted out. Oh, there you go.
as always, somebody is not always going to be faithful.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm. We're
you make a vow. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. We hear you. And then you're gone again.
There we go. You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. I was about to say technical difficulties. Please stand by.
If anything, we can cut that out.
Nah, everything goes up on the YouTube channel as it's recorded, which is why yeah, sometimes I'll get 10 minutes into something and say something really stupid and then I'll have to scrap the entire thing. It's like, damn it. I don't know how to do the editing yet, I'll be honest.
But back to topic on hand. As far as the Church of the Broken-Hearted God goes, some bonds you make a vow, and it's a spiritual vow. Maybe to a god, to a place, to a person. What happens to be to a person, as far as you'll never cheat, you know, you'll never leave them. Sometimes people do.
Yep.
And the victims of it are known to go to the broken god for vengeance or for comfort. There's not a lot I can really reveal about it yet, but the broken-hearted god is, by all technicality, a dark god. But that doesn't mean his intentions are evil. You know?
Mm-hmm. Which I mean that while it hasn't been touched upon much, because simply put, we haven't had the opportunity to, with ashen beings such as the brokenhearted god, they're not all of the ashen aren't necessarily evil, even though their supreme queen is entirely evil. And so this gives us a really good opportunity to really branch into that and look more deeply into that lore, because like I said, we just haven't had an opportunity to talk much about it yet. And it's one of the reasons I'm super excited for Veno's projects.
Now, I will tell you right now, there's a reason that NSFW warning came at the beginning. The romance and debauchery expansion will have debauchery.
Mm-hmm.
There will be drugs, alcohol, and sex all involved in this one.
Yep.
As far as it goes, it will be divided into two parts: the safe for work version and the not so safe version.
Yep. Because we're courteous like that, we don't want to lock people out of the story just because they're not quite at that level yet. It's an environment of respect, which means
Another thing,
okay.
good.
You go ahead.
Another thing I can give you from the second expansion, there will be a main antagonist to it as well. A group known as the Forlorn Traders. They are a group of merchants hailing from an island to the far, far south. You know, past the equator and back down into the cold regions. They're known for some of the most exotic spices you'll ever find, some of the most exotic drinks, foods, people. You name something, they can get it for you, which has gotten them into a lot of trouble.
As
If
well
you
it
were to
should.
find one of these merchants, you could theoretically get some of the most rare items possible. The only problem is it's going to cost you a lot.
Oh yeah.
Now, because we know some people are good, some people are evil. For those of you that are evil out there, there will be stuff that is absolutely psychotically evil. For those of you that are good, there will be some very saintly stuff in there.
Yep. It's all
I can
about
tell you,
which side
good.
of the coin you land on.
Yep. As far as some of the saintly stuff, there will be a lot of new good deeds you can do, a lot of new herbs, medicines you can use. For those of you that are evil, there's new ways to gain gold, followers, and
Other
not so
things.
loyal followers.
It's all about that player choice, which is why as we move forward for the rest of this year into the next, definitely stay tuned because we're getting into the good stuff now. I finally got the game where I want it. I'm not constantly having to fiddle with the core rules, which means I can start doing the more fun stuff that I've been dying to do for 5 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, frick, man! Like in the first 3 years of Albadyn, we went through 3 editions. So Third edition has stuck around, which I'm very happy about because that got exhausting every August having to almost completely reinvent the game.
Yeah, I bet.
This first edition, dear God, I still have the core handbook from first edition in the other room. That shit hurts to read because of where we are now. It's like,
Nowadays,
oh,
it's mostly fine tuning and adding some new stuff.
yeah, and adding new optional systems that if you want to go into it, if you want to increase the depth of your game, go for it. If you don't want to, you never have to touch it. It's purely optional. It's not like some of those expansions that you get in like D&D and Warhammer and pretty much every video game ever where, nope, it's new. It's yours now.
And that's what sets Albadyn apart. Unlike a lot of other games like Warhammer, every time a new fucking codex comes out, you gotta get it if you want to keep playing against everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know? When a new rulebook comes out, guess what, bucko?
Guess who's coughing up $60 for the new one? Yeah.
Exactly.
And
What do you got to do for Albadyn?
just go to the website once a month.
Bingo!
That's straight up. That's it. Just once a month. Go to the website because we've got new seasonal drops once a month, and all that costs you is a little bit of time. And that's another thing that I've always loved about Albadyn is if you go back on our YouTube channel far enough, you can see some of the stuff we've played this game with. Like we've played it with amiibos. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Those Nintendo figurines. We've played it with that. We've played it with Octonauts, My Little Pony figures. There is no set rule on what you have to put on the table.
Yep.
You know, straight up whatever. One of our games we did back in testing. Oh God, this is such a great story too. We were testing the PvP system for 2.5, which was right before 3rd edition dropped and made everything better. We were testing PvP and I was at a buddy's house. And we were going to play some Warhammer, but I just needed to get the testing for the PvP done first. And so straight up, how the PvP system was your team got 50 points. And you could get whatever you wanted with that. And so my team, I had 2 adventurers, a really tanky dude, a couple of grunts, and a spellcaster. What my buddy did to kind of... He wasn't being a dick. He was just showing me a weakness in the system. He just got 40 tier 1 units. Outfitted all of them with maces. And literally washed me away with an unending tide of enemies.
Yeah.
And that was 1/18 scale action figures versus 20 Chaos Space Marines, 20 regular Space Marines, and a couple Tau.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was what he used because I just didn't have enough action figures. And so he was just like, oh, we'll just use the Warhammer guys for my force. I'm like, this isn't how you're supposed to do it. He's like, yeah, but that's not the system that you gave me. There's nothing saying that I can't. And so I learned from that. I learned from that hard and fast, and that's one of the things that made 3rd edition better was remembering that lesson of if you don't say it can't be done, that means it can be done.
And let me forget to say before you start, you can't do that. It's gonna get used against you.
Yep, because there's always going to be one person who looks for a way to break the game.
Yep.
And that's a good thing. Helps you grow as a developer. Remember that, any game designers watching this. Always find someone who can break your game because they'll save your ass in the long run.
Yeah. It's better to get told while you're still doing it, hey, this is fucked up, you gotta fix that. Than, halfway through your fucking release of the new edition, everybody sending you emails like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, we had that happen back in 2.5. Somebody got the Kindle version of the rulebook And they reached out to me on Facebook. They're like, how do you level up? I'm like, it's in your rulebook, right? I just can't find it. I'm like, oh, well. And so I explained it to the guy. I get to looking at the freaking document. Lo and behold, leveling wasn't in there.
Shit.
Somehow, through the proofreading process, everyone who looked at it missed the fact that leveling up was not explained in the core rulebook. Huh? Not just yours. That was my proofreader in the background. And so straight up, I wound up having to rush through the edit that would fix that. And fortunately, it happened before anybody had actually spent money on it. He got it with Kindle Unlimited. So he was just minorly inconvenienced. If Albadyn, God forbid, had taken off at that point in time, that would have been lethal. There would have been no coming back from the fact that we forgot to put leveling in the fucking core book.
Yeah, that could have been a killing blow right there.
That would have been the end of the dream. But, so with that, we start talking more about that. Okay. I'm starting to lose mental coherence. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, I've been up for forever, so. So for those of you who, after watching this awesome podcast with me and Veno, you're wondering, how do I get involved in this? Well, there are legitimately 3 venues. Okay? The first venue is the main venue. It's where 98% of my time goes. The website, legendsofalbadyn.com. Simply search Legends of Albadyn. We're the only one there. We've been moving up in search priority recently. We used to get edged out by a basketball team out of New York and a slots app. And over the past 5 years, we've edged out all of them to where Legends of Albadyn, if you search Legends of, Albadyn will probably be one of the first things you see. I actually had that happen when I was telling somebody about it. They were trying to look it up and they're like, oh, there it is. I'm like, yes.
That's the best feeling in the world right there. You
Oh,
go
yeah.
from having like tell them, all right, you just gotta look further down on the page to, all right, so it should just be right there.
Mm-hmm.
And when it is the best feeling in the world.
Oh, 100%. Because straight up, I was about to have to spell it for the guy again, and he was like, oh, no, never mind, there it is. I had to fight the urge to dance because I was in public. I'm not even kidding. I was that happy. Because grabbing search priority is one of the biggest hurdles you'll have in any creative endeavor.
Yeah.
But with the website, we've got downloads, we've got quests, we've got battle reports. We talk about nerd culture. We talk about history of nerd culture. We talk about all kinds of stuff. All of it 100% free to access. One of my favorite things that we still have on there is the Infinite Adventure deck, which is a 50-card deck of little quests that you can do, and you just print it out, cut it up with some scissors, shuffle it, and there you go. All of it free to access because I care about you. And I want you to have a place that you can go, or you can forget about your finances for a while. Or you can forget about your dickwad associates, family members, whatever the hell, where you can just make it all go away for a little while.
Yeah.
And that will, God help me, that will always be my mission. That will always be top of the priority. The second place you can go, we just released our newest novel on Barnes & Noble. Find it on barnesandnoble.com, Legends of Albadyn, the Falling Stars Anthology. You can get the ebook this week until the 24th. You've got a couple more days to pick it up. You can pick it up for 25% off with the promo code BNP Legendary. 620 pages of high fantasy, glory, intrigue, eldritch horror, and more. All yours for the taking. It will be $7.49 if you pick it up with the promo code, and it will be $9.99 without the promo code. We also have the paperback, but You don't have to get the paperback unless you really want to. And anything that you buy that's associated with Legends of Albadyn really helps me out because where the game is free to play, and I'm not going to change that, financial support is always welcome. Just throwing that out there. And the third place is our Teespring store, which Teespring store. We get T-shirts from our development team. I get some from my family members. Just different things that are nerd culture. One of my favorite ones is we just released it. It's called Total Bruh Moment, which it's just bruh on a T-shirt. Makes me laugh every time. And I do everything I can to keep the prices on anything that I release that has to be for money. I do everything I can to keep it as low as I possibly can for you guys because times are tough. And
Yeah.
I don't want to be a financial gatekeeper. Fuck that. If you can't afford it, you don't deserve it. Yeah, you can go fuck off.
Yeah, you remember back in D&D during 4th edition when somebody was trying that?
Mm-hmm. Oh god. The tabletop community's been through some crazy shit, my dudes.
Oh, yeah.
As a community, we're still learning, we're still growing, and I'm doing everything I can to, if nothing else, make my contribution to the tabletop community a positive one. And
Which you've already succeeded at.
that means a lot to hear. That means so
Hey,
much to
come
hear.
on. Think
It's
about it. We're at a point. We've got a free-to-play game here. We've got multiple expansions coming out per year. How much does it cost to play the full game? Zero.
nothing. And that is a dream come true. That is my
Exactly.
life mission complete. Which is the greatest feeling in the world. It really is, because the sky's the limit now. You know?
Exactly.
I don't have to worry about it no more. Because I did it. And that's the thing. If you've got that dream of yours, chase it. Don't let it get away from you. Because if I can do it, you can do it. Never let the naysayers nay. Never let the depression drag you down. Never let the anxiety stop you. If you want to do it, do it. Because we believe in you.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
And so, with that, my loyal band of heroes, we bring this, my favorite installment of the Dragon Ridge cast, to a close.
Woo!
Big, 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 big thanks to Veno. They're one of my favorite people I've ever had the privilege of working with, and I'm super excited to seeing how they carry the game forward. Uh, Looking forward to just all of it, you guys. It's been a big journey. We're almost at our 5th year. We're like 20 or 30 views away from having 5,000 views across the website's lifetime. We're
Which
already beating out 2020, and it's only July in terms of how many views we have. We are going there. And I
we are growing
and
fast.
and I could not be happier that I get to carry all of you along on this wonderful, crazy journey with me. And so remember, my loyal band of heroes, until next we meet, may your journey continue. Keep on going, and never stop being excited about where this road ends. Peace out.